Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be doing an election prediction between Glenn Youngkin and Kamala Harris. Glenn Youngkin, as we all know, has recently been in the news given the fact that he has, actually, no, not Glenn Youngkin versus Kamala Harris, excuse me, Glenn Youngkin versus Pete Buttigieg. Anyway, Glenn Youngkin has recently been in the news because, he was just sworn in as governor of Virginia, and he has done many actions in the first few days of his administration that made a lot of Republicans happy. Pete Buttigieg also definitely contender for the Democrats in 2024. I would like to mention before this video, all of my predictions are based off the current state of the country, not how I think it will be in 3 years, because obviously that would be very naive. So the current state, Republicans are now the majority of party identification in the country. You saw that Gallup that just came out recently. I've been talking about this before. But Republicans are now the majority of party identification. They have the majority of party ID in the country, surpassing Democrats drastically in the last quarter of the year. Anyway, let's get right into our safe Buttigieg states. Anyway, before I begin this video, please make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. By the time I'm making this, I am 11 subscribers away from 400, so we are so very close to 400 subscribers. Please go ahead and click that subscribe button because we are so very close. Anyway, safe Buttigieg states. Safe Buttigieg will be California and Washington. I could see Oregon narrowing up, especially against somebody like Glenn Youngkin. Also, Connecticut, I will not leave. I will not include yet, but I will include a lot of the other states. So that puts it to 151. Safe Youngkin states. And it doesn't mean that Oregon and Connecticut and New Jersey won't go Democrat. It just means the margins will narrow up. You saw what happened in New Jersey in 2021 where that state seriously narrowed up in the governor race, and the Republican almost won there anyway. Likely Democrat, likely Buttigieg, Oregon, Colorado, Connecticut, New Jersey, Maine's 1st Congressional District. Those are going to be all lean Pete Buttigieg races. Not lean, likely Pete Buttigieg races. Likely Glenn Youngkin races are now Iowa and Ohio. I don't think that Pete Buttigieg being Secretary of Transportation will help him really in those areas. They trended pretty quickly to the right. And with a Trump type candidate, although Glenn Youngkin isn't as conservative or to the right as Trump and DeSantis, he is still more of a conservative candidate. I think he would do well in those areas, especially being from a state similar to those regions in Virginia. Also, another likely state will be the state of Texas. The state of Texas will drastically shift in favor of Glenn Youngkin. I would see him winning by 9 to 10 points. We have seen a tremendous shift among Hispanic Americans in support of Republicans over the last unprecedented shift, honestly, over the last few months. As I say every video, Ronald Reagan, after he made that amnesty deal back in the 80s, Republicans went after him. They said, why are you allowing all these people to come into the country? Basically, these people are going to be used as votes against us 10, 20, 30 years from now. Now they were, but maybe Reagan ended up being right when he said that they were conservatives. They just didn't know it yet. A lot of these people are Hispanics, similar to those amnesty types back in the 80s, and they could end up helping Republicans, actually. So Texas will go likely, not Florida, because I still think Buttigieg could have a shot there, especially being more popular among elderly Americans. However, Buttigieg, I do think, will be drastically unpopular with Hispanic and Black people in the country. Unfortunately, there is a prejudice against, gay people from those communities. That's just something that's acknowledged. He didn't do well in the Democrat primary in some aspects because of that, and I don't know if he would do well in Florida because of that. In those Hispanic areas, also in the Southwest, and Glenn Youngkin, does have an advantage nonetheless, especially due to the rapid gains in Republicans in those areas. Anyway, lean Buttigieg states. Lean Buttigieg, I still see the state of Minnesota possibly leaning to Pete Buttigieg, as well as Maine at large and new state of New Hampshire would lean to Pete Buttigieg. New Mexico would lean as well to Pete Buttigieg. That puts him up to 212. However, Virginia would not. I think that Glenn Youngkin is going to have a massive shift on Virginia, and it could narrow up, especially with him being the nominee in 2024. Obviously, this is a possible scenario. Lean Glenn Youngkin races. Races that will lean to Glenn Youngkin are Florida, North Carolina, and Wisconsin. All of those races will lean to Glenn Youngkin. Actually, I'm also going to include the state of Pennsylvania because you're going to see a drastic shift in the Rust Belt as well going forward. Republicans are making massive gains there. That puts them up to 264, very, very close to winning the whole thing at this point. Buttigieg would tilt the state of Michigan in his favor, getting him up to 225. He'd also tilt Nebraska 2nd Congressional District in his favor. However, Glenn Youngkin would tilt the state of Michigan in his favor. He'd also tilt Nevada and Arizona, more heavily Hispanic areas, as well as the state of Georgia. So massive, massive win for Glenn Youngkin against the presumed best candidate, best prospective nominee from the Democrats in Pete Buttigieg. Glenn Youngkin does very, very well against him in my scenario. Anyway, let's take a look at what this electoral map would look like. It's basically the same electoral map, frankly, from 2016, aside from the fact that Nebraska 2nd becomes a Democrat district and Nevada becomes a Republican state. Nothing else to look at there. But that means that Glenn Youngkin, if this were the actual scenario, Glenn Youngkin would then go on to become the 47th president of the United States of America, winning this election by a very similar margin to what Donald Trump won by in 2016. And that is due to the unpopularity of the Democrats and the rising popularity of Republicans. At least at this moment, that's how it's looking, and I can't make any other prediction than that. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are so very close to 400 subscribers, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Like the video below, comment if you disagree with anything that any of the states that I characterized, and stay tuned for more awesome videos to come.